So homelessness continues to remain an extremely detrimental issue in the U.S., where people receive a lack of food, housing assistance, and hydration, and other shelter services. For example, like clothing, blankets, and like everything they need to stay comfortable in the house, and they just simply don't receive it. And to expand on this, they also receive a lack of healthcare. So this also causes them to increase in substance abuse, drug abuse, and it creates communities where there's just like poor areas in these cities where like people obviously struggle, and this creates a further impact on the public as a whole because people living in the cities, they see these homeless people, and that creates like sort of like a ripple effect because all this drug abuse and substance abuse gets around through the public, and the homeless people is like they're part of it as well. So basically it continues like, so for example in Arizona, if we look in central Phoenix, there are a lot of homeless slums within that area because, and it's also lots of drug abuse there, like I said. And then this also moves into my next topic where like I volunteered. So because homeless people, actually I should probably talk about my policy change first. So as for my policy change, I want to advocate for aid in homelessness. I want them to like receive more healthcare, maybe shelter, any type of shelter service would be great. And to advocate for this policy change, I volunteer at the Foster Alliance, where I took the time at home to make blankets for foster kids, and this directly correlates to homelessness because these homeless kids who don't receive care and healthcare, they have the opportunity to get shelter at a foster place. So I just see foster care as a direct solution to homelessness. And yeah, that's how I advocated for my policy change.
Okay. How do you think like homelessness specifically in Arizona could be different? Like the way you approach it could be different compared to other states? Because like, you know, we have like crazy weather patterns too. Like it get really hot, but also can get cold sometimes outside.
Yeah, so in Arizona, the weather is especially a big impact. So especially during the summer when homeless people spend their times outside, obviously there's going to be a mass health effect. They're going to get heat stroke, and they're going to receive all sorts of health effects, and they don't even have access to healthcare. So these effects will also like affect others because nobody, obviously when you see a person who's struggling on the street, that's going to create some sort of like, people are going to try to help them, but that can also create problems because homeless people, like it can create mental illnesses as well. So
how do you think we should address like the heat part? Like, do you think we should add like focus on giving more water or focus on like air conditioning units?
So I think
like that?
hydration is key, but then obviously shelter matters too. Like you said, air conditioning. Air conditioning is very, without air conditioning in Arizona, we'd all be struggling. So, and these homeless people don't receive AC, so I think hydration and AC serve as prime examples for that.
Perfect. Thank you guys for being here with me today. So I'm going to start off. My issue was public education in Arizona. And the reason why I chose this issue is because it's something that we're living through right now. If you look at our classrooms at Unridge, they're pretty good. But then if you look at schools all across the state, you'll see that there's a very big disparity between that. Like a lot of schools are closing right now. Some schools can't afford programs for their sports or like arts programs, and they can't even hire teachers throughout the entire year. So I chose public education funding. Right now we're in a budget deficit, a budget crisis actually. And a big part of that was because of these things called ESA vouchers. And vouchers are where basically the government gives you money so you can spend that money on private school tuition. And what this does, it takes away from the education budget for public schools. So like now these families have a lot of money that they can use to spend on private education. But the issue with this is that the families who are using this are already rich, are already able to pay for private school. So by giving them more money, you're just taking away money from public schools. And basically my policy goal is I want to bring awareness to and advocate for solutions to Arizona's education crisis, both inside and outside of the classroom. And what I did was, first, I worked on a campaign. These two candidates were running for the state legislature, and they were both former teachers. And the reason I did this is because former teachers know our classrooms best. And I think if they were put into a position in the state legislature, they'd be able to effectively employ policies that benefit our public schools all around us. And then for the second part, what my volunteer hours, I worked with Serve It Forward, where we donated tennis equipment to local boys and girls clubs. And the reason I did this is because while public schools are underfunded, their programs, like their sports programs, are also underfunded at the same time. So that's a big issue that we don't usually see, that's not accounted for. So by giving this equipment to people outside of the sports equipment, it kind of alleviates the burden of the financial crisis. You guys have any questions?
So what like immediate things do you see in our school? Do you see anything?
Our school specifically, so our neighborhood, like it's a very high income neighborhood compared to a lot of our public schools, like in rural areas or even downtown. Like if you look at like, I forgot, Metro Tech High School is one, or like a lot of the downtown public schools or our rural public schools, they're a lot more underfunded. But even us, I'd say some issues, I think if you compare us to other states, they have a lot more opportunities that we don't usually see. But like it's mainly just Arizona as a whole. Like our public education system is as a whole is a lot. We're ranked 49th in the nation for per student funding. All right, thank you. Next.
Due to the demanding mental toll that hospice care has on its employees, there is a extreme shortage of workers in the country. These people face patients who are in their last stages of life, who are often terminally ill or mentally ill, and it's definitely a hard issue to take care of them and treat their medical issues. This leads to neglect and abuse in these care centers, as well as maltreatment in terms of like billing and stuff. Sometimes they'll bill for things that they don't even provide them with, or they'll bill them for long-term care when it's only like once every couple of days or something. Like lots of times they're overbilled without anyone noticing because they're so vulnerable at at that stage of life. Everyone deserves a chance to have a smooth like transition into their final days, but oftentimes these hospice care systems like fall short. So as well as along with the population boom in like the United States, there's an increased demand for hospice care. So more and more people are going to need these services. We're going to need more and more staff. So people need to spread awareness and get more staff in these communities in these care centers that have compassion for the issue. Additionally, these older people have to rely on federal programs like Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid, which definitely fall short for people who have low income because they were designed to be a financial aid, not a like sole source of income.
Okay.
So many people are facing medical issues without care or hospice care.
So what was your action plan?
I volunteered at St. Mary's, where I provided food to low-income families, older people, and children to help support like those seniors that are in need for financial support, or sometimes they even have the hospice care, like they donate to the hospice care places and stuff. It helps those seniors out who are in need. I also emailed Katie Hobbs, our governor, because although she has taken small steps to help this issue, she needs to take more to decrease this abuse and neglect that we see so often in these hospice care centers.
How do you think we can like bring more awareness to this issue?
Everyone needs to do their own research, become educated, and spread awareness to other people, and volunteer at places like St. Mary's or hospice care centers to increase the quality of life of these people.
Thank you.